A wise man once said, this is Coach Freeze, his words, I like being an ugly 6-1 a lot better than being a pretty 4-3. I say the same thing about like being a 7 with a good personality instead of like a 10 with like no jokes, right? So anyway, so Flame Central Podcast powered by Alcova Mortgage. We are just ready to go today.
Welcome back, Joe.
I know,
Boy, did I take a lot of heat.
We got a lot of heat. We were walking out of the stadium Saturday night, and a guy we met coming out was like, "Where you been, Joe?"
I paid him $20 to say that.
Yeah. So the people noticed, Joe.
Thank you for making it.
I noticed the amount of heat that I took in watching last week's. But was a Bash Joe Yacht podcast.
I know.
You know what though? It's okay.
It's all in love.
It's all there. You feel. I could feel the love.
Good.
Through it.
I wasn't sure if you went off to Europe in the middle of football season or something. I will say, want to give some credit to the guys because we were in the fire. I don't know if you watch our. These In the Fire segments that we do on
today.
It comes out today, and this week was on how a broadcast is produced and everything about the behind the scenes about the broadcast. And I will say, this might have been one of the best broadcasts that you got. Mine was probably one of the worst. But you guys had, I remember so many times feeling like, is Tony Romo calling this game?
Come on.
Joe had a few.
He had a few.
He's like, I think they need to do this, especially there in the fourth quarter. Need to get into the tunnel screen game, work those wide receivers in the screen game. And what did we see? It's like Hugh Freeze was like, I got you, Joe. Good call.
He's in that
Boom.
earpiece.
They went to it.
Actually, it's me listening to Kent in the earpiece. Kent Austin, the offensive coordinator. I was listening to the earpiece. So it was a little bit rigged. Let's just say that.
I love it. No, you guys called the game very, very well. The Flames played the game. Not so well.
It was a lot closer game than we expected, certainly.
I had so many storylines. I was going to get in a cabana. They built the cabanas at the. I brought one of those little umbrellas for a drink to like sit in the cabana and do one of my hits there. Never had the chance to do 90% of that because. Wow, this one was really close. What were some of the thoughts that you took away from the game?
Well, there's a lot of things. The first thing I think, kind of looking back and going through the drives, is just missed opportunities by Liberty. You had 3 times in the first half where Liberty started a drive in Gardner Webb territory and came away with 0 points on those drives. 3 times, including right at the beginning. They get the interception, Javon Scruggs. They're in the red zone, and Chedro Lewis fumbles, a rare fumble for this running back group this year. So the opportunities are there.
That might have been the first fumble, right, of the season?
Well, Day had one. It was for Chedro, I think. But Day had one the previous week. But you just, if you're kind of looking at it from an offensive perspective, you say the opportunities are there. So that's a positive. You're getting the ball because of that defense in position to score. Now you just need to find a way to get some points. It doesn't even have to be 7. And going into this week, we'll talk a lot more about BYU coming up. But you just have to find a way to get some points when you're handed field position like that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the defense in just a moment. We have some great stats that just came out this week of, after another great performance by them. But I don't want to hate too much on the offense. Question for Joe Yacht, Analyst of the Year in the running.
Mid-season.
The Flames, we've talked a lot about this run game, the last few weeks and how well they've played. Season low 93 rushing yards, 76 were Day Hunter, and he only played in the second half. And how many were
46 of those were on that late run.
It was a freebie.
So really, it's about
realistically,
it was about 50 rush yards in this game.
I mean, how much of a concern is that? Why aren't the Flames running the ball?
The issue that you run into when you get later in the season is that you are who you are. Okay, your run game, the plays that you have in the run game is established. People see it on film. They know it. Early on in the season, your teams are trying to figure each other out, right? So there's a lot of new stuff. Who are the guys? What formations are they using? How can we scheme them? And so, but once you get this deep in the season, then you've put all your runs out on film. And so now it becomes like, okay, that gives the defense the advantage later in the year because they're able to scheme you more. They know what you're going to do. They feel what you're going to do, and they can scheme you more. And Liberty's situation is so unique because the quarterback position is such, it's up in the air all the time. So with Charlie Brewer being out, with Caden Salter being out, now Jonathan Bennett's been streaky here and there. He shows some good things and comes back. Nate Hampton really hasn't played much, right? So you have all these different factors. So if you're a defensive coordinator, these guys are pretty smart, right? They start saying, okay, not only do we know what their run game is, but we can bring the extra guy in the box. We can start loading up the box, and we can scheme them because we know exactly what we're going to see. And then we're going to just dare you to throw the ball. And sometimes you're just banging your head against the wall. You say, oh, we don't have a run game. We don't have a run game. Well, guess what? When they load the box on you and they know what your run game is, it's really, really hard to run the football. And they're daring your quarterbacks to beat you. And Liberty's just not in a position right now for that to happen.
And you think about some of those opportunities down the field. I think Trayon Sibley, like 3 times he was behind the defense. They weren't able to connect. One of the interceptions, Demario Douglas was behind the defender, but it was underthrown. So you're seeing the result of them loading up to stop the run. It's there.
Yeah.
The plays are there. They just weren't quite able to connect.
The message is clear. I mean, if you're a defense and you're looking at the offensively, what does an offense do? They look at the defense and they go, okay, what's available to us? Right? And so when they pack the box in, they play man coverage, and they say, okay, you're going to beat us. You're going to have to beat us over the top. You're going to have to throw deep balls on us. And I think Liberty completed the one deep ball to Noah Frith. Outside of that, they missed the one. It's just exactly what you're saying. They missed the one. So here's our game plan. Here's what we're going to ask you to do. Can you beat it? And the answer to that was no, they weren't able to do that. The opportunities were there.
Yeah, and so if you're Freeze, you're Ken Austin, you're Maurice Harris, you kind of have to say to yourself, right, like, hey, we're calling it right. Like, we're calling the game right. Those plays are there. Yeah. So from that side of things, you're like, okay, good. We don't need to drastically change the way we're calling a game. We just need to execute it better.
I think the one thing I would have liked Liberty, sometimes when you're in a situation like that and it's difficult, like and you're not completing balls downfield and throwing over the top, the perfect catch where he catches in stride, sometimes it's okay to go to, I'm going to put C.J. Yarborough on the outside or into the boundary, okay, and then take 3-step drop and just give him a 50-50 ball and let him go up and try to grab. Let your athlete beat their athlete kind of. And you didn't really see them do a lot. They had well-designed plays. Yeah. The plays were well-designed. They had some stuff there. They just didn't throw and catch.
Well, as far as the quarterback situation for Liberty this season, I mean, obviously with Brewer and Salter going down, it has fallen onto JB and Nate Hampton. How difficult is it for a quarterback to, I mean, Coach Freeze has been very, very honest about how frustrated he's getting with these guys. So you get pulled from a game, and then, like, I'm just thinking, like, mentally for JB, how difficult it must be. Yes, he needs to get it done, and he needs to step it up, and as for Nate Hampton, but I'm just thinking of, like, the mental roller coaster he must be on this season.
I mean, we talked about a little bit of that in the broadcast, which I was very happy for JB, the aspect that he struggled, and then he got pulled, okay? Then he came back into the game. That's tough. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Back, he was 10 of 13 for 84 yards after coming back in the game. And we saw him better against UMass, too, after getting pulled and come back. So that credit him for staying mentally locked into it.
That has to be so difficult.
Sure.
I would be just shocked.
And, I mean, you look at Jonathan Bennett. I mean, here's a guy who had a freak knee injury, okay, on a celebration after a touchdown that cost him all season. He battles back. He's putting himself in position as the starting role, and then he struggles, gets pulled, comes back in. So it says a ton about the character of what kind of kid he is because, he's had a little bit of, you're right, he's had a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but you got to give him credit. He's done a lot of good things, too.
We'll talk about Charlie Brewer, a little update on him in just a moment. But first, what can you say about Gardner Webb? Because, yes, FCS opponent, but we were saying it in the coaches' calls with Trey Lamb. Yeah. This guy knows football. He just has this, like, extra fire to him. When I was talking to him coming out of halftime, he's just like, I'm proud of my guys, but I'm not happy. I'm disappointed. We should be winning this football game right now. We are dominating every single stat category. I mean, I understand when you look at, like, the difference of, 85 to 64, whatever the scholarship difference is, they should have won this game. Yeah. And, I mean, they played really, really well.
Well, and you think about it, this is really the second game for them where they've done that against an FBS opponent, dominated this, statistical categories and lost. They did the same thing to Coastal Carolina, but they outgained Liberty. Looking at the total yards, 325 to 315. Again, it was really probably more one-sided than that. But Josh Aldridge, Liberty co-defensive coordinator, said today, those two receivers they have, they'll play for anywhere. Mostly anybody that we're facing this year. Mm-hmm. That Luther kid, he goes, at one point, we double-teamed him on a third down. He still got free and beat us. Mm-hmm. So they were very explosive. For me, though, like, the biggest play in this game, or one of them, you go to the third quarter, and Gardner Webb, they had just gone on a 9-play scoring drive. They're leading 17-14, and then they picked off Jonathan Bennett. So they had the ball in their own 43 midway through the third with the lead, and they're the better team on the field right now. Yeah. And they got greedy, and they went the little double pass.
That was a terrible
and it was
call.
Intercepted. First play of the drive, and now Liberty didn't score off of that. But that was an opportunity for you to say, we're the better team. Let's run our stuff. Let's score here and really put the pressure on. And they got greedy, and they kind of went back to that. Well, they've run a trick play in every game, and you didn't need to.
You know what? What made that a terrible? That was a very bad call to begin with. You know what made a terrible call? They had already done it. It was on film.
Yeah, you said
they did it against Coastal, the exact same play, and it's like, guess what? Oh, we saw that one on film. You think Liberty practiced a few times?
You're not going to catch.
If you're going to run a trick play, you got to keep your trick plays fresh, baby. It's got to be market fresh. You got to be market fresh. Yeah, I want some fresh veggies. I need some fresh
veggies. I'm thinking of like some pumpkin muffins or something.
Keep those pumpkin muffins fresh, right? Yeah, and it's like they ran. I was like, what are you doing?
Well, and Josh Aldridge said, we preach our guys all week long.
Yeah.
Ready for trick plays. We know they do that. And to Liberty's credit, they were ready when they tried it, and it just
Gardner Webb is a really good football. It wasn't like
they probably went out.
It wasn't like, man, Liberty's just playing bad. Like their D line was good, their linebackers were good. They were clearing what they were doing. Offensively, the Bailey Fisher kid, that kid is tougher than nails.
Right. He was limping really bad on the sideline. I didn't think he would come back in.
I mean, TJ Luther. I mean,
and they lost their center.
And they lost their center. That's right. The Gaither kid, the running back. Oh my, that's a Trey Lamb, folks, is what, 33 years old?
Yeah.
That guy's going places. Yeah. He's a good football coach.
It really does make you feel so bad about yourself, like he's my age and look where he is.
Yeah, look where he's going.
I know. All right, well.
You are hosting the Flav Central podcast. Powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Okay,
there's only one person who can say that.
There's only one person that can say that, but there's so many people trying to get a hold of you. So how do we do it?
Yeah. She's getting better and better at these.
What do we always say? Go to the Google machine. The Google machine.
Get pre-approved.
What's
that going to hurt?
All you do is Joe, Jauch, not the K, C-H. Go to the Google machine, click on me, boom, you're on. You get on the phone with me. You can go online. You can do whatever you want.
Come to the house, play some pickleball, whatever.
Play a little pickleball. Right. We can do it all.
Text them 434. No, I'm kidding.
You can text me.
I just had a good joke like following that. Now I just was like, it was right there.
Yeah.
It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me.
Comes with age. You're no spring chicken anymore.
I know. Don't we all know that? Okay. So that was the terrible play call. That was the rocket interception, right?
The rocket.
So that was asked about in the press conference with Coach Aldridge today, and he made a comment about how much of a unit this defense is, because Rocket can't get that interception if it isn't about the defensive line, rushing the passer. Come on, Emily Austin. Talk about this defense and how impressive they've been as a unit and how they've been able to. I mean, look at some of the stats that we have here. In the nation, number one in takeaways, number 2 in team sacks, number 2 in tackles for loss, number 3 in passes interceptions.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Josh
for
Aldridge,
Liberty,
Jack Curtis, the whole crew over there.
Shout out to them.
Compared to what we saw last year, where they forced 11 turnovers
in a season, and now we're at 18.
That's a huge turnover.
At 18, wow. You know what they do well is, I mean, you look across the board. Okay, first of all, Mike Smith is an animal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that dude was all over the field. And it's not just that he's super athletic and run. You can tell that guy's in the film room. He's preparing. He sees things. Yeah. He sees things before they happen. And then he's on it like that. But they're getting Kendi Charles, Saganay, they're getting push. They're getting push up the middle. And then you got, Darrell Johnson on the one end, the Rev, Christian Zach.
Yeah, he played well.
He played really, really well. And then you got those two backers in the middle with Mike Smith and Ahmad Walker. Yeah, I mean, they're able to shut everything out horizontally. You're getting great push up the middle and pass, and for the pass secondary to get ready for. And then you got guys like Rock Rahimi, Javon Scruggs, Chris Mayenson, Chris Mayenson, sometimes the best corners are the corners you don't hear about.
You don't talk about, right?
Right. Doesn't get much done on them. And so, yeah, between those guys and with that kind of push, you put a lot of pressure on quarterback, and then you got the guys in the secondary. It's not by chance that they've had that many turnovers.
Well, and think about this. Liberty this year, 6-1, bowl eligible. Half of their wins, they've scored 21 points. This day and age,
that's incredible.
Against the offenses that we see week in and week out, that's hard to do. But you credit the defense through all the ups and downs and all the quarterback stuff that's happened. They've been the consistent factor, and I mean they have won some ball games for the Flames this year.
So some of the individual stats: Darrell Johnson, number 3 are in the nation in fumbles recovered, tackles for loss. Javon Scruggs, number 3 in fumbles recovered. Rocket, 4 in the nation with 4 interceptions. He has 0.6 interceptions per game, which is number 6 in the nation. So it's just.
We're about to find out, though.
I know.
There's a lot of praise going to the defense right now, but now we're getting into the meat of the deal here.
They're gonna have to earn it. In reality, they're gonna have to play their best game of the season.
Yeah.
It is going to be interesting. Do you think that? Give me like a little preview of this BYU game. Is this arguably one of the best teams that have come into Lynchburg to play at Williams Stadium?
It's got to be,
right?
I mean, they got throttled by Arkansas this weekend, though, didn't they?
They did, and when you get that, I mean, there was the Syracuse that a few years back were they ranked? I think
they were.
They might have been ranked.
They
weren't very good.
Mediocre that year.
Yeah, they weren't very good.
They weren't very good, but
good the year before.
And this obviously with all the extra around this game, this was part. You talk about the vision, of Jerry Senior. We want to be the BYU of evangelical schools. So there's a lot of history involved in this matchup as well.
Storm and Mormons.
Yeah, but Joe mentioned it. They're kind of limping into this game.
Yeah.
And where they have struggled is on the defensive side. They ended up giving up 52 to Arkansas. They lose 52-35 here this past week. And
give me some scores.
All right, here we go. They gave up 644 yards to Arkansas. Arkansas converted 12 of 15 third down attempts. The prior week, BYU against Notre Dame gave up 11 of 16, and they didn't sack Arkansas one time. So this defense is limping in.
Wow.
Kalani Sitake, their coach, was asked about it after the game Saturday, like, are you going to take over play calling duties on the defensive side? What's wrong? He said in his post-game presser, like, Hugh Freeze is looking at our defensive tape and just chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
Like when he sees the way we're playing right now. So they are really struggling on that side of the ball. The question is, can Liberty take advantage of it?
Right.
Can you take advantage of it? So we'll see how they look, but they are definitely limping into this ball game on the defense.
Yeah, one article I found: BYU football, is the struggling Cougars' leaky defense fixable, or is the talent just not?
This is not where they expect to be. They were ranked earlier this year.
What's their record right now?
Right now, where are they? 4-3. Yeah, they lost at number 25 Oregon. Didn't play well in that game. Lost in Vegas against Notre Dame 28-20.
They had a big win though.
They did beat Baylor, who was number 9 in the country at that time. Yep. And then they got worked over pretty good by Arkansas. So their offense, though, is good.
Their offense, but I mean, it could match up really well.
Their offense has been really good. Their quarterback, Jaron Hall, really talented. You'll watch some tape on this kid. Throws just a great deep ball. Really good touch and accuracy down the field. He has 17 TDs, only 3 interceptions. Threw for 356 and 3 scores against Arkansas, and he can also run it. They have some talent. They have some talent on the offensive side of the ball.
There is some good sorry to interrupt. There is some good and bad news about this game as far as the broadcast. Bad news.
Why'd you have to?
You got to bring us up.
We will not be on the call.
Yeah. No Emily Austin on the sidelines.
Possibly.
Definitely not. I'm definitely not Joe.
It's
Get Emily Austin. Who do I need to call?
I don't know.
Who do I need to call?
However, the good news is it will be on ESPNU. So that's always, good for the university. It's bad for us.
Right.
But it's good for the university.
We put the university ahead of ourselves.
I know.
Listen, let's get our press passes. Okay?
I've got something to tell you. I've got something to tell you. There may be some Yawk Warner still pre and post. We'll talk. I've got something to talk.
But let's get our press passes.
Just go heckle the guys.
No, and then we're gonna get up in the booth and just stand over their shoulder the whole game.
Just like, ooh, I wouldn't have said that. Yeah. You sure about that?
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say a few minutes ago.
He doesn't know, does he, Matt?
So here's a story.
He doesn't know, does he?
Here's one time, I forget who Liberty was playing. It was a couple of years ago. They brought in, an ESPN crew.
Yeah.
And Liberty was playing. It might have been ULM when they were here, when they came.
You were
and I got to be the spotter.
Yes,
it really wasn't even the spotter for the crew. He just goes, I don't want a spotter. Just, here's a stack of note cards. If you see anything interesting, write it down and hand it to me. Okay. I took everything in me not to just start feeding him inaccurate information.
That must have been tough for
Warner.
What
I mean? Like Malik Willis, captain of his chess team. Just stuff that just make it up and just completely, sabotage the broadcast. But I didn't do it. I'm a professional. I handled it the right way, but it was hard.
Fourth quarter, a pizza half off.
Yeah.
Just say it. Tell the folks.
Yeah.
Tell the folks.
Yeah.
Oh my, that must have been really, really tough for you. But
it was.
I'm happy for the university that they'll be able to do that.
National.
I remember what I was going to say about the Tony Romo play.
Okay.
It was when Mike Smith Jr., they kept pulling him in.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, right here's a perfect opportunity for Gardner Webb to throw a deep ball over him. And if they did, I was like, oh, I'm putting this on Joe Yock's tape. I don't remember what happened because someone got injured, and I'm like,
it's a good. The end of that story didn't.
Yeah, I didn't quite.
No, but it was
how
like,
cool would it have been?
But
cool
I mean, usually, like my first year on the broadcast, you'd be like sitting like on a pickleball rant for like 30 minutes. So it's just really
that's true.
It's cool to see that you're really you've stepped it up the last few years.
His telestrator game has come a long way.
Really,
just within the season, he's drawing live action, dialing it up, remembering to hit erase when
you gotta hit the clear button.
You gotta hit the clear button.
Sometimes the clear button will get me in a little bit of trouble.
the Bob Ross of the telestrator.
You're going clear.
Okay, so what you were gonna say? I'm sorry about about BYU. If you knew before you get
yes, I know it is.
Okay, go ahead. I was gonna get your thoughts.
Well, when you guys started breaking it down right there, I thought, well, okay, that is a recipe for a good football game. Because you've got a Liberty offense that's struggling, you got a BYU defense that's struggling, but then you got a Liberty defense that's playing really good against a BYU offense that's playing. So it's going to be like, who's going to be the give and take in this? Strength on strength. We know who's going to be the give and take in this thing. And so, I looked at earlier, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I think BYU came in as a 7-point favorite.
Yep, they opened as a 7-point
favorite. So, I mean, that's a good game.
Yeah.
Like Vegas ain't dumb. They know they got the analytics on these things, so they're looking at it pretty closely. And so that's a recipe for a good game.
More on the update for the quarterback situation for Liberty. So I don't know if we announced last week that Salter had groin surgery.
Yes. So he's going to be out for a while.
So it's a while.
Yeah, we would assume from what Freeze.
So as far as Charlie Brewer. The update that we just got from Coach Freeze's press conference is he has improved a tremendous amount over the weekend, which is
he has improved tremendously over the weekend.
Perfect timing, Brewer.
How you feeling? I feel you're great. You're good.
Too much. But, it's probably just he's finally getting that feeling back after being in a cast.
And you're just trying to get strength back in the hand, grip the ball.
You gave him one of your stress,
I did. Did every grandparent have the squeeze thing? Yeah, no. But the handle, you know what I'm talking about? Those things like every grandparent had those. Yeah, right.
What are we doing? Okay,
Reese is doing better. Elbow doing better too, and they're on the same track. We talked about Reese had elbow surgery, arms.
We gave an update last week on that.
Yeah, that's right. So, and Reese he probably would be ready for action this week if he had to go.
This is Joe Young's son.
That's my 9-year-old son.
Okay, so Charlie Brewer. We talked about last week a little bit, throwing him in if he's ready for Gardner Webb. Obviously, we didn't see him. But is it smart for Coach Freeze and this Flames offense to have Charlie Brewer go out there? Because yes, he was injured, but you have to think this guy, one thing the injury didn't take away is experience playing against Power 5 opponents.
And BYU, he started against them last year.
Exactly. So is it smart? Is this what the Flames need to do with the inconsistencies that we're seeing with JB and Hampton?
You don't want to put him out there if he's compromised. And I don't even just mean he may be cleared, you're healed, you're good. Yeah. But if he can't play the game the way he knows how, you can't put him out there. And Freeze said he really wasn't very close to suiting up Saturday, which makes me think, all right, so you come a long way in a few days, but if you weren't close to playing Saturday, gosh, I don't know.
Yeah.
And also with the way the bye is after this week, you feel like, well, if we don't play him, we've just given him 2 whole weeks to get all the way back.
That's very true.
If the bye wasn't there, I think maybe then you start to think about it a little bit more. But boy, I think it'd be really tough. Having said all that, if he is good enough to dress, would it surprise me if he doesn't start? You get a quarter or half into the ball game, and Hugh goes, "You think you're good? Yep, I want to go." And he puts him out there if things aren't going well. Charlie wants to play.
Oh, yeah.
He's been after Freeze to play for 2 weeks.
He wanted to play at UMass.
He's like, the pen is halfway out, and he's like, I'm good. So he wants to get out there, and he's in Freeze's ear. But, man, if he's compromised at all and can't throw the ball downfield the way that he needs to, I have a hard time putting him out.
Joe, do you agree?
I think I do agree. I think the recipe is going to be for Liberty is, okay, the good news is they're not playing against a very good defense. Okay, so you can scheme it where you can do some easier things for Jonathan Bennett and Nate Hampton to be able to have some success.
But is it a good defense?
Compared, right? I get it. So, but I think
21 against
but their coach said it. Their coach said it. I think this is the kind of game where Coach Freeze can scheme them. Yeah. Okay, and if you're having some success in that scheming and be able to do that, then you can cover up the quarterback a little bit. You can help cover them up, and you might be able to run the ball a little bit more effectively. For example, they were struggling to run the football, and we talked about it. It's like you got to use horizontal runs, and that's getting the ball out of your hands, getting into Mario Douglas, Javian Lofton, those type of guys to be able to let them in space a little bit. So there's some stuff you can do to spread people out horizontally and help yourself. And they did that against Gardner Webb. But I'm also with you, is if that isn't going right, and you feel as if the big thing, and Coach Freeze talks about this every week. How are they practicing?
Yeah.
He really puts a lot of stock into how well a guy has practiced this week. And you could see some of his frustration last week when we interviewed him. Like, practice just wasn't going very well. And guess what? A lot of that carried over into the game. Very inconsistent. But if Charlie Brewer's practicing well, then there's a really good chance you're going to see him. If he's not, and it's like Matt's saying, it's like you put him in a little bit of a compromise. Wait, what are we doing here? Why not? Let's just get through this thing, give another week off, and then get ready for Arkansas.
And the other thing, too, Liberty's banged up at the receiver position. Freeze said today, Yarbrough and Lofton both dinged up. There is a chance they get Caleb Snead back potentially. They'll see how he practices this week. But you're also dinged up at wide receiver, which makes it even more difficult.
I wonder if that affects their decision on C.J. Daniels' redshirt.
That's what I was
Could be. They've got 2 games left to use him, so and still save that redshirt. So it's possible.
I don't know. Just a reminder, Charlie Brewer won the job back after fall camp as the Liberty Flames starting quarterback. However, only has played 9 snaps in this Liberty offense.
You got to get us an inside scoop later in the week, Emily.
You can ask the other broadcasters to do that.
I'm off the clock.
Yeah, I'm off the clock. All right, I asked Matt before the podcast, what are the Flames Fantasy League updates?
Yeah, you want it?
And he would not tell me.
No,
so
no, I want it to be a real natural reaction.
This is his segment.
I don't want you to have to fake surprise or something.
You look really scared.
Well, the fake. No, they didn't score. Sorry, I was going to say the Day Hunter touchdown at the end, but he got tackled at the 1 yard.
Yeah,
he
did get
score,
in,
but he got
did get in once.
Yards.
So here we go. So you'll remember Emily had a strong lead, but we closed that gap a little bit. Emily with a good week this week, 33.8 points. Day Hunter led the way with just over 17. Darrell Johnson at 9.5 points. Jerome Jackson's touchdown was big as well.
I did remember he's on my team
for the touchdown. So she's up just over 200.
I forgot about
just up to over 256 points.
That's a lot.
Joe got almost 15 points from DeMario.
Yeah.
8 points from Javon Scruggs. He had the interception. Yeah. That's about it. So you had 24 points. So you're sitting at 202 points.
My late round draft picks, the depth of my scouting reports and late round draft picks is what hurt me this year.
M scored 30.
About balance.
Yeah, M scored 33.8 this week. I scored 33.2.
God, I'm getting smoked.
Shedro got into the end zone. Mike Smith Jr. and Ahmad Walker carried me. Those
guys
have
been
were
carrying
just
all
everywhere.
Season. Yeah.
So that definitely
both those guys.
Yeah. So I'm still 30 points behind. Emily still has a 30-point lead, but.
And I just want to point out to everyone that I'm only rolling with 4 guys right now because Trayshawn Clark is hurt.
To be fair, we've all done that this year. He had TJ Green out. I've had Snead out. So it's all kind of balanced out.
So I'm sure Matt will make up some rule in the next couple weeks about how.
What is it always? 33 points ahead.
Oh, she's about 30 points ahead of me. She's about 54 ahead of you.
Oh, I'll close that gap. Hey, there's a lot of football left to be played.
TJ Green, you need to get in
TJ Green,
100 times to get Joe back in this one. Okay, bold predictions for last week. I think mine was Darrell Johnson was going to get 3 sacks and 2 tackles for loss.
That's exactly it. He got 1 sack and an additional half tackle for loss. So not quite there. I said my prediction was a tight end touchdown. Check. But I also said a TJ Green touchdown, and he had 2 carries for 4 yards. So he didn't get a chance. Give him a chance, Coach.
Oh, I was looking at you for your bold prediction, and I was like, oh, wait.
Joe predicted that Day Hunter would not play in the first half.
Yes.
And would then run for 70 or more. Yeah.
And then he would come up short of a touchdown.
And then would make the heady play of getting down on the 1 yard line.
Very smart play. That was actually a really, really smart play on his end. Anything else you need to add?
Give a bold prediction?
Sorry. Flame Central podcast powered by Alcova Mortgage. Joe, bold prediction, go.
Bold prediction. I'm writing these down.
You ready for this one? I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there.
Do it.
Flames 27.
Over. Go on.
BYU Cougars 24.
Wow.
That's going to be a thriller.
Flames pull off the win in a throw.
Upset. Storm the field.
Storm the field.
There you go.
It's a Baptist goalpost teardown.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. There you go. Upset.
the Flames are going to score either on special teams or defense. Like we're gonna have to have a. We're gonna have to have
for that Demario Douglas punt return.
I know.
Yeah.
I had that as my bold prediction.
Joe was saying that during the break during this last game. He's like, he's about to pop.
There was one. Well, that one return. I'm like, what are you doing? You know where?
He almost took a safety.
Yeah.
He almost took a safety, and then there was another one though that he missed. One guy missed, and I was like, oh, he could go.
You know,
and then
maybe
he got
my
tripped up
favorite
in
play of the
second.
entire game.
I know what you're gonna say.
It was the Michael Bollinger throwback on the kickoff to Demario. Oh, that was the shades of the
I wonder
Tennessee
if they
Titans
practiced that
against the Buffalo Bills Music City Miracle.
It's a Music City Miracle.
That was beautiful. Great throw. And honestly, Gardner Webb did a really good job covering that.
They did an incredible. That should have been a touchdown.
Gone a long way. But that was fun.
That was for that call to be on a pooch kick. Obviously they practice that. That call to be on, expecting a pooch kick because they probably saw him feeling pooch kick a lot. Bollinger catches it, which you're either a fair catch or the big fullback just runs it and you get 5 or 10 yards. And to throw it back and make the throw to the best player on the field.
And it was a good throw.
I mean, and good credit to Gardner Webb. That could have gone to the house like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So. All right, last thing, my bold prediction. Can I get that?
Oh, yeah.
My bold prediction this week is Nick Brown will make 3 field goals of 45 yards or more.
Oh, that is a really bold prediction.
I mean, but that's also like, did you actually think of that before the segment?
I actually put a little thought into it.
I will say this: someone who watches from the outside, because last week this chair was empty, and I watched from the other. But first thing I did, I got on there and I watched the podcast. The lack of preparation.
This is coming from the guy that forgot to tell us.
Yeah, was it obvious?
Why is that? Why? You're playing an FCS team. You have one of the best DNs in the country. Why is 3 sacks and 2 tackles for loss? I mean, what is he leading? And
what are you talking about right now?
Darrell Johnson. Those are my bold predictions.
Was that for last week?
Yes.
I said the lack of thought prior to going.
Oh yeah, I never think of that.
Was glaring.
I've never thought of a bold prediction before I mentioned the segment.
It was like, let's do bold predictions. Yeah, bold predictions. Let's do some bold predictions. Matt, what do you think of bold predictions? I don't know. What do you think of bold predictions?
Who are we playing?
Yeah.
Who are we playing again?
Yeah.
No, it is really bad. I'm not going to get better at doing that. I'm not going to even lie.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening or watching. Yeah. We have so much fun on this. Next week, it's Halloween, right?
No, we're not wearing costumes. Is that what you're going to say?
Is that no?
It's 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, so we have time to talk these guys into it. I think we need to do a theme. You need to borrow the guy's chicken suit.
How about the chicken suit?
The chicken suit.
I commented on it.
I know. I remember.
I mean, it's a beautiful fall day. Okay, it's a beautiful fall day, and you're thinking to myself, I wake up in the morning and I go, it's a beautiful fall day.
Go to the closet.
I go to the closet, and you're thinking to yourself, but it takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of commitment, a lot of guts. Like, I could really enjoy this day, you know? Emily was enjoying the day down the sidelines, right, at the festive crowd, everything, and some guy says, I want to put the hot chicken suit on.
I always think about...
I'm just going to go, I'm not going to really enjoy the day.
I wonder how much
watch the game in the hot chicken suit.
I always think about the people that, you've got your tickets and you're going down the road looking, and then you see,
I'm next to the chicken
suit. Sometimes it works out.
Oh my gosh, so much fun. I think that we should dress up for Halloween. We'll chat about it. I'll
Matt
is
not a big costume guy.
He must be
you'd be a good
such a boring dad.
You know who he would be a good costume? I know his outfit.
What's that?
You know who he'd be good? Jack Sparrow. If you put him in the full Jack Sparrow outfit, the Pirates.
Doesn't he have a lot of hair?
Yeah, but you put the wig on.
I don't think that's.
But you got the beard going. You look a lot like Johnny Depp.
We'll pray about it. All right, thanks so much once again for listening or watching.
Look like Johnny Depp.
For Joe,
the long hair.
I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back this week.
For Joe, he's Matt. I'm Emily. We'll see you next week.